Hello, peace be with you. My name is Conrad Archuleta, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to talk to you about Islam. The word Islam is derived from the Arabic root word salam, similar to the Hebrew word shalom, both meaning peace. Islam simply means to achieve peace. Peace with God, peace within oneself, and peace with God's creations. This peace, Muslims believe, is attained by voluntarily and completely giving oneself to God, or Allah.
There are hundreds of names throughout both the Hebrew scriptures and the Christian scriptures. The Islamic community uses usually the term Allah, but we believe that is the same God as all of the rest of us worship.
Allah is the proper Arabic name for God. Muslims believe in and worship the same God that Jews and Christians worship. Allah is a unique term with no plural and no gender. It predates Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, and it was also used in the form of El, Ilah, and Elohim by David, Moses, Jesus, and other messengers of God, peace be upon them all.
If you go to many Middle Eastern or African countries, and you go to any church, you would hear them refer to God as Allah, because that is the word in those languages to speak about God. So what is the difference really? I think that there is really no difference. It is just how we think about God, and we speak about God with different names and different ways, depending on the experience and the scripture and the tradition that we have.
The theological background of Islam, the historical antecedents of Islam, which are the same as Christianity and Judaism, we are clearly worshiping the same God.
There's no doubt in my mind that we are under the same God, and that Allah is the name for God in Islamic tradition. I think the Islamic concept of God, the understanding of God, God is sovereign. God holds the world together. God, I smile because I can say, I want to say God is God, and there is none like Him. That is something that binds all humans together, humanity together. And what we miss in America in many ways, because of our brash culture, there's a lot of wonderful freedom in America, but because we're free, there's also a lot of trashy culture. And there's also, frankly, I think a lot of trashy religion. And what this culture could recover, and I think Islamic peoples in America could help us recover, is what I call the sovereignty and priority of God. What it is to be under God, who holds us all in being. And over again, when one thinks as a Christian, I think of the way the name of Allah is invoked over and over again with great awe, great reverence. I think that is Islam's great contribution to our recovering, our Christians recovering their own sense of the transcendent, their own sense of what I would call the otherness of God, the majesty of God, which in many ways our culture has lost.
Islam is not a new faith. Muslims believe that it is the same truth that God revealed through all his prophets to every people. For a fifth of the world's population, Islam is not just a religion, but a complete way of life. Muslims come from all races, nationalities, and cultures across the globe. They have varied customs, languages, foods, and dress. Even the way they practice Islam may be different, yet they all consider themselves Muslim.
Muslims are those who submit to do the will of Allah. They surrender to the Creator. They are seeking peace in this life and in the hereafter. And a Muslim is not restricted to the Middle East. A Muslim can come from any nation, come from any tribe. There are millions of Muslims in China, in India, in the former Soviet states, throughout Europe, Africa, the Americas. Everywhere in the world, you can find somebody who is a Muslim.
Centuries of confrontation between Muslims and Christians have often accentuated the differences and misconceptions that separate these two great faiths. And despite an overwhelming amount of similar prophecy, common beliefs, and shared biblical history, most Muslims and Christians do not really know one another and do not understand each other's faith.
Muslim-Christian relations are in their infancy. We welcome Muslims into our community and to learn about Islam because people in America, people in this culture are deeply ignorant about religion in general, I think, but Islam in particular. And it's almost as if you have to start from zero with the culture.
Muslims respect and love all the holy men or prophets whose stories are found in the Bible. These prophets include Adam, Noah, Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, David, Solomon, Moses, Zechariah, and John the Baptist.
The Muslim holy book, the Qur'an, speaks of the creation of humans in the following terms. When we said to the angels, "Prostrate yourselves to Adam," they prostrated themselves, but not Satan. He refused. Then we said, "O Adam, truly Satan is an enemy to you and your wife, so let him not drive you both out of the garden, that you may come to great misery." But Satan whispered evil to him. He said, "O Adam, shall I lead you to the tree of eternity and to a kingdom that never perishes?" Then they both ate of the tree. As a result, their nakedness became apparent to them. They began to hide themselves using leaves from the garden. Thus did Adam disobey his Lord and went astray.
From an Islamic standpoint, Adam alayhi salam, or Adam, may peace and blessings of God be upon him, was the first prophet of God. From the Christian standpoint, I was taught that he was the first man and that he was tempted by this woman. Of course, from the Islamic perspective, they were both tempted equally, and they equally stood before God in judgment as people that repented and who then obeyed God.
Apart from Adam and creation, there are many other stories that are mentioned in both the Bible and Qur'an. For example, Noah and the flood are mentioned several times in the Qur'an. We sent Noah to his people. He said, "O my people, worship God. You have no other gods but him. I fear for you the retribution of an awful day."
The story of Noah from the Christian perspective is very similar to the Islamic perspective in that we know that he was told by Allah to build this ark. The Christian theologians had taught me in Bible college that at that time it had never rained in that part of the earth. So here's this man that has all of this faith and this belief in God, and he's going to build this tremendous boat where in a place that has never rained. And all of the people doubted him, but we know that he built this boat against tremendous adversity, the kind of adversity that many of us think we're probably facing today, doubts. But he did build that boat, and we respect Noah as a prophet of God Islamically, a prophet that obeyed God and fulfilled his command.
Noah is considered by Muslims a great example of patience and servitude to God, a man who, despite hundreds of years of preaching, was accepted by only a few of his people. Moses, on the other hand, is thought of as a lawgiver and a great leader who freed tens of thousands of his people from the bondage in Egypt. There are hundreds of verses in the Qur'an that talk of Moses. For example, this passage. Has the story of Moses reached you? Behold, he saw a fire. So he said to his family, "Wait here, I see a fire. Perhaps I can bring you a burning branch or find some guidance at the fire." But when he came to the fire, a voice was heard. "O Moses, verily I am your Lord. Remove your shoes. You are in the sacred valley Tuwa. I have chosen you, so listen to what is inspired. Verily I am Allah, the God. There is no God but me, so serve me and establish regular prayer, praising me."
One of the amazing things that I see from an Islamic perspective is that Allah, God, always sent prophets to people to address their current issues. And when Moses, peace and blessings be upon him, came, people were into magic. There were a lot of sorcery. So God gave Moses this rod, and this rod turned into a snake. God gave him such rich miracles among the people, and they were rescued and they were followed. I feel that from a Quranic standpoint, these stories are a little more spiritually inclined. They point out the miracles that each of these prophets achieved or experienced in their life, whereas in the Christian perspective, these prophets that we've been talked about are not revered